Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
I'm Edith.
And Ken, and we're in Punkaty, Virginia. Well, I started off not knowing there was anything of the such as when it comes to glass. And I was just out of school looking for a job, and somebody recommended that they were hiring, so I went down there and applied there and started. And I started as a cutter and a washer, and eventually worked my way up into working with flames. And did that and just moved on up through the ranks. We made laboratory apparatus that they use in the semiconductor industry. And after, I guess it was about 5 years, I had heard that there was people who had worked in the business before that where I was, and they were now out in California, have their own shop out there. So I contacted them and took a trip out there and interviewed with them, and later on that year I got up, picked up everything up, and moved out to California, the Silicon Valley, when that was the hotbed of the semiconductor industry back in the mid-'80s. Well, after being in California, I came back to the East Coast and was out in New York, Long Island for a while, and then picked up and went to Florida for a few years, then came back up to New Jersey, and for the short term, I was living with my sister, who had a Christmas tree farm up in northern New Jersey. So
I wanted ornaments. So I said, you can make them. And that's how it started.
So we decided to try to make a couple of ornaments and sell them to the people coming and buying their Christmas trees. And that went so-so. Figuring out, I was switching from one type of glass to a different type of glass, so it was really foreign to me at the time. So there was a little adjustment, and we made a couple of basics: the snowflake and the icicle.
Yeah.
And the hummingbird may have come in a little bit after that. But it was Christmas, so it was the wintry theme, the snowflake and the icicle. And
candy cane.
Candy cane.
Yeah.
Yes.
The candy cane.
And just a clear candy cane. And
then a snowman we did, I think.
And then there was a local craft fair at the
high school.
At the high school. And we made the leap and went and did that. And
oh my gosh, I made all these little hand tags, stamped, embossed, and everything, and painted boxes, and all kinds of stuff to get started. We didn't know.
So, I think we made a couple $100.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow!
It's pretty good.
We could do this. So, we ended up
doing more craft shows.
Doing a couple more craft shows, working in thousandths of an inch to not having to worry about dimensions at all. It was just part of making the transition.
Your dimensions was, can it fit in this box?
Yeah, that make it so it fits in the box instead of.
I don't have the patience to work with a flame, but I can come up with ideas for him to make stuff. And then Ken did go and take one class in fusing glass, and he came back, and it interested me because it was you can be more creative with color. And so I started a little bit, and I did take a class in it, and started to work with stuff. And I kind of like working with scrap pieces to see what I could put together. And another type which interested me was freeze and fusing powder glass and making different things with it in molds. So it's endless of what you can do.
So she was handling putting things together, I would handle the technical end of it as far as running the kiln,
Yeah.
to make sure it went up to the right temperature to do what she was looking to accomplish. When we first came down here, we were at our neighbor next door. When we were down here moving in that day when we closed, there was a bake sale at the church, and she came by and dropped off food for us.
Yeah.
And so we went to the church that she was from, which was St. George's right here, and we met a man there at a little function they had. It was I guess it was a meal or a dinner or something they had.
Forget
some
what
kind
it
of they
was.
had where other people,
It
not
was
just in the church, came.
Phil McCaleb.
And it was Phil McCaleb
Yeah.
from McCaleb Insurance.
Yeah.
And he says, I have I belong to the Artisan Guild. He says, and I think you guys are
Yeah,
a
candidate.
right fit for becoming a member.
And that's,
So that's how we got involved
Right
with the
away.
Artisan Guild.
yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Phil introduced us to the Artisan Guild. I made a few things, and back then, to do the show
You
that
had to
they
be
did every
juried
year,
in.
you had to be what's called juried in to the Artisan Guild. So you put up a few pieces of your work out, and then they had a panel that would come and judge it, and judge whether you were good enough to become a member or a juried member. So we went through that process and became a juried member and started doing the Artisan Guild show at Carr Place
Yeah.
the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And
And
then-
you built the surround thing for your table,
Yeah.
so people could watch, and we had a pop-up, and it was at night, and he had flames going and everything, and people stopping and stuff,
So-
and that's when, yeah, it started.
One part of being in the Artisan Guild was I became a board member.
Yeah, and I
And-
was too.
The board, we came up with the inception of doing the studio tour. Somebody may have heard about it and thought we could do it here. And so and the first year they did it, we didn't have a studio basically for people to come to. I was tucked away in another corner of this building here, and so we didn't do the studio tour the first year.
And this building was an old carriage house, I guess, with little bits of concrete here and there, and dirt floors and everything, and Ken ended up jackhammering all the concrete up and getting rid of it.
Then I broke everything down in here and jackhammered up the old floor that was in here and had this new floor poured, and then 2000, probably four or
maybe.
five,
Mhm.
was when
Yeah.
we started doing the tour. And we've been here ever since, on and off, but we've been here since the inception of the tour. That I've never considered myself to be an artist, and so as far as sitting down and drawing, sketching out something, I tried it, and I was just a terrible drawer. So it's more of an idea that comes together in my head, and that's where it comes from. And even
I'm that
even-
way too.
even when I started, there's always been a struggle with people. Are you a craftsman or are you an artist? And I never considered myself to be an artist. I thought it was more of a craft, and so I struggled with that for a time, to consider myself being an artist. I probably even have doubts these days still whether it's that. And I think the best way that I've heard it described is, as far as being an artist, is being a fine craftsman.
What happens when a piece just doesn't go right?
There's two things that happens. I sit there and fight it for a while, and then I'll finally, if it's not going to be fixable,
It goes on
it
our
goes in-
tree.
yes, if it's hangable, we have a whole tree full of happy mistakes hanging on our tree. So, but other than that, if it's beyond repair, beyond something that I'm going to spend time trying to fix, it's not worth it. So it goes in the trash can and goes to the dump. It's sort of always been my nature, though, is to, right from when I started scientific glass blowing, and I had the opportunity to go to California, and most people would not get out of their comfort zone and take that chance. But I just packed up my truck and I started out one morning and drove 3,000 miles to the other side of the country, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where I was going to live. All I knew is I had a job.
That's kind of like us moving here. We knew no one.
Yeah, so
We just up and moved, and it was a huge leap because we had just 5 years prior to that built a brand new house that we didn't expect to leave. That we ended up down here, but we did.
as far as advice is
Try.
to try, take that chance. It's better to fail at something than to live the rest of your life never having tried what may be your dream.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.